Minister, tell us a little bit, how has Brazil weathered the COVID-19 pandemic? I think uniquely, it's done better than almost any other country in the world.
So Brazil bounced back very strongly from the first shock. Our expenditures went from 19% of GDP to 26.5%, but they bounced back to 18.7%. So we are spending less now than the year before COVID.
It's amazing.
Unemployment went from 12% to 14.5%, is back to 11.1%. So it's lower now than when COVID came. We fully protected 68 million Brazilians. We digitalized every one of them, and we transferred income, $120 a month for 2 years in a row.
So using digital payments, so like a social safety net, digitally,
yes,
you're right, it's supporting it through a digital social safety net.
Yes, and Brazil, in the ranking of the World Bank, Brazil is #1 digital government in Americas, ahead of the US and Canada, and #7 in the world.
So e-government, you're the #7 in the world, and ahead of the United States and Canada.
Ahead of the US and Canada, exactly because we, during the pandemic, we really went digital. And Brazil was already, we elected our president through social networks. So Brazil is the 4th largest digital market in the world. And this thing, the pandemic kind of accelerated this jump into the digital age. We preserved 11 million jobs through digital transfers to the companies. Instead of firing someone, just phone us. You reduce the labor shift by half. Instead of 8 hours work, 4 hours work, we pay the other half of the wage. So we preserved 11 million jobs in the formal market. We assist the most vulnerable ones. We bounced back. We dropped less and came back faster than many emerging economies. The IMF went to Brazil 2 years ago when pandemics hit Brazil in 2020. They forecast a drop of almost 10% on GDP. And they said advanced economies would go down 4%. Well, UK went down 9.7%. Italy went down more than 8%. France more than 7%. Germany, 5.6%, Japan, 4.5%, and Brazil, 3.9%.
Wow.
We dropped it less. We bounced back very strongly, 4.5%. We removed all the fiscal incentives so that our deficit was 1% of GDP. It went to 10.5% in 2021, but it's back to a small surplus. So we removed all the fiscal stimulus, all the monetary stimulus. We are quite ahead of the curve. Federal Reserve is behind the curve. European Central Bank is behind the curve. And Brazil is already with a very high interest rates, and we probably will get out of inflation faster than the advanced economies.
It's incredible. This is not a story that's getting out.
No.
So I think it's important that we have this conversation.